Coming up on From Beyond Champaign, Illinois is going to Florida this weekend to take on the defending national champions in a scrimmage. Also, it's the first of what I would call a really quick handful of expectation player profile type shows. So, got a lot to talk about. Kylan Boswell on this episode. That's who the first one's going to be. So, let's go. Welcome to From Beyond Champaign, episode 3, season 3. I'm Cody. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody_Illini, and obviously right here on YouTube, Cody_Illini as well. Happy Thursday evening. We got Thursday night football. We got NBA is back. I know some bad NBA news today. If you're an NBA player who likes to gamble, I hope no Chicago Bulls are gambling, and I hope that no Illinois basketball players are gambling on college basketball. I don't even really know the gambling regulations for college athletes. I would assume that they're just not allowed to gamble at all. I know in baseball, for MLB, MLB players are allowed to gamble. They just can't gamble on baseball. I'm assuming for college athletes in general, they're just not allowed to gamble. So, weird, crazy news that came out today related to the NBA. But, not a lot going on the college basketball front. But that allows us to kind of go through some players. We're going to talk about Kylan Boswell in this one and our expectations for him in year 2 at Illinois. And then also they have a scrimmage this weekend against Florida, the defending national champions, which is still weird for me to say, even though they've now won 3 in my lifetime. So let's start with them first, okay? Illinois, they had an exhibition against Illinois State this past weekend. Talked a lot about it on the last episode. If you missed it, go check it out. This scrimmage, no one's going to be able to actually see it except for players and coaches and stuff. So hard to take away too much from it, but whatever comes out, we'll definitely talk about it in a future episode. But I was reading Illini Inquirer today and was reading up a little bit on Florida. Florida, despite losing Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin and Will Richard, they're still number 3 in the preseason in the Associated Press. And I think the reason that they're still ranked pretty high is they're returning most of their front court, which includes Alex Condon and Thomas Haw. All right. And then they also added Boogie Fland, who Illinois saw at Arkansas last year, and Xavier Lee, who went to Princeton. And as a degenerate, I know who that is. That is a fun player to watch if you're into mid-major gambling. All right. So again, they're top 5 in the AP poll coming into the year, and they're still going to be the defending national title champions. And so this is a big test for Illinois. Brad Underwood said, quote, "I think they're the defending national champions with their whole front line back. Boogie Fland we saw last year. Arkansas, a point guard who's had high-level success, really legit size, maybe a team that's every bit as big as we are. Bodies will be banging, will be flying around." All right. So some notes on Illinois going into this. It's unclear as of this recording, at least, and if the news comes out while we're live, I guess we can talk about it, but it is unclear if Tomislav Ivicic and Andrei Stojakovic and Mihailo Petrovic will be able to play in this scrimmage. According to this article, the loose ruled scrimmage, which will feature a lot of situations and not be a free-flowing game, will allow Underwood to significantly test and evaluate his team about a week ahead of Illinois' November 3rd season opener against Jackson State. So it's not going to be like a normal game, but it will, I don't really know how to explain it. They're going to have situations, right, to go over and whatnot. But I think whatever comes out of it, if I hear that Illinois goes down to Orlando, Florida, and beats the defending national title, national champions, I mean, yeah, sure. I'll get excited about it. I'll get excited. I think it would be cool. I mean, what was it last year they played Kansas? Or was that the year before that they played Kansas after they won the national championship? I can't remember. They all just kind of go together as time goes on in the back of my head. But anyway, yeah. A big scrimmage, a measuring stick test for this team. And I think talking about it a little bit kind of goes well with this episode, talking about Kylan Boswell and our expectations for him in 2025, 2026. And I would love to hear your thoughts. I know we got a pretty small crowd here on a Thursday night with so many other things going on and people probably still in their car on their way to work or on their way home from work, right? But I am curious what people's expectations are. So if you're not watching this live, let me know your expectations about Kylan Boswell in the comments. And by the way, if you could hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. If you're here on YouTube, please hit the like button. That means a lot. Helps grow the show, helps find other Illini fans. We're really close to 800 subscribers. Again, 800 subscribers. We're really close to it. So help me get there. Can we get there by November 3rd? That would be good. Maybe I'm setting the bar too low, but if you hit the like button, it helps other Illinois fans who might just want to look at a different idiot talking about Illinois basketball instead of all the other ones. Or just add me to their list. I like them all. So anyway, let's dive into this a little bit. Kylan Boswell, he ended the 2024-2025 season really on a high point, right? What his last month of the year, he averaged around 17 points per game, I believe. I'm going to make sure of that real quick. Where I was reading it. Where was I reading that? Oh, yes. So despite the fact that he didn't shoot the three ball really well, he still managed to post his best offensive efficiency rating of his career. And that's largely because he was able to get to the basket. He was able to get downhill, go to the free throw line a lot. And, he really was a good, for a guard, he was really good as a cutter and one of the better screeners, I thought, on the team last year. And it just, the amount of times I saw Tommy throwing him the ball down into the paint instead of vice versa is actually kind of funny when you really think about it. But, I think the start of his first year at Illinois was quiet, and people questioned the 3-point shooting and even shot selection. But I really thought he ended the season well, and he's definitely going to be coming into this season with more expectations. And I think on a little bit of he's bringing momentum into the season, I think. And I think he can be first team or second team All Big Ten, right? I think he can be one of those guys. I really do, because a lot of people who win that, get that recognition, they're on teams that are good. And I think this Illinois team is going to be good. I think that this team has a really good shot to really meet more than just the expectation this year, which is, to me, it always will be Sweet 16. But I think that not enough people are talking about Illinois, but it's largely because they don't really know if this team can do what Brad Underwood thinks they can do, because no one knows if this combination of players will work together. So that's one of those we can argue about all we want. At the end of the day, we just got to wait and see what happens. So I think for year one, did Kylan Boswell live up to my expectations in year one at Illinois? I would say yes and no. Like, he brought a lot of intangibles that I didn't really know about. I was just looking forward to seeing a good 3-point shooting guard on this team, and he wasn't. So, in many ways, he was disappointing to me. But the way he ended the season gave me a lot of optimism going into this offseason, thinking that this guy can be a leader for this team next season. So, he's going to be one of the older players on the team. I think, when I think about him and players that you can compare him to, it's as far as former Illini, I don't really know. I don't really know. Maybe a bigger Trent Frazier, right? I think he's a better shooter than Trent Frazier. Not necessarily last year, but I think he can be. I think that's one of the bigger things, that he's got to be closer to what he was at Arizona this year. Like he can't shoot below 30% from three this year, in my opinion. I think that as far as a lot of the little things that Trent Frazier did for this team when he was here, I feel like Kylan Boswell does that. Maybe I'm way off of it. Obviously, they're not the same in size. They don't play the same way, but I think as far as importance to the team, I think I get the same feel from them. And I think Kylan is better than him as an overall player individually. Will it look like that from a team perspective once the season is over? I'm not sure. So let me know your thoughts. Who's a former Illini that kind of reminds you of Kylan Boswell? Maybe, again, him and Trent Frazier body-wise are not similar. I'm just thinking about, impact on the team. So we're going to see. We're going to see what Kylan Boswell does for Illinois in 2025, 2026. But I did write some things down. This is my expectations for Kylan Boswell going into the season. All right? Number one, be an elite defender. Now, before I go any further, I want to play some audio. This is from Big Ten Media Days, and this video was taken by my guy, Glenn Kinley, from the CBS affiliate in Champaign. This is Kylan Boswell on his relationship with Cameron Crocker, the new quote-unquote defensive coordinator for Illinois.
Oh, it was a click for us. I mean, he recruited me when I was coming out of high school to Stanford, so we already knew one another and had a connection built. But like I was talking to you earlier, I'm a big on my why, and I need to know the reasoning a lot of times when I want to learn something new. So him explaining and film, him continuously trying to trust me and learning from him has helped build our connections to the point now where it's 100% trust in anything we're doing defensively. He lets me do what I need to do to be the best version of myself defensively, but while within the grasp of our concepts. So we've gelled a great ton and continuing to grow. No, 100%. Yeah, understanding the why is you're going to be okay with my feedback, with what I feel with certain things. I think I've proven myself with now where he trusts it's not coming out of ego or it's coming out of, it's just being some kind of airhead. I generally know what I'm talking about defensively. I watch a lot of film on it, and I don't think there's a question who was the best guard to guarding, who was the best option to guard some of these best guards. So he definitely listened to me, and about 100% listened to him.
I love his confidence in himself when it comes to being a defensive player. He says there at the end, I don't think there's any question on, who should be guarding some of the best guards that, in the Big Ten or wherever, right? And listen, this is the same guy who guarded Cooper Flagg against Duke last year. And I know, we all know. Well, we're still healing from it. If anything, the football team gave us some revenge in a way. With their win over Duke earlier this year. But the loss at Madison Square Garden last season against Duke was, not only was it embarrassing, not only was it like the worst loss in Illinois basketball history, but if there were things you could take away from that game, I thought Kylan Boswell did as well as he could have on someone like Cooper Flagg. And I think that Kylan is far and away the best defender on this team. That's nothing new. Everyone listening to this, I think, knows this, understands this. But I really want him to make a run at Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, the fact that he wasn't part of the All Big Ten defensive team last season, was a joke, in my opinion. And I think this is a year where he can get some recognition for that. So that's for me. Be an elite defender. Okay, that is that's one of my expectations for him going into this season. Now, number two, be a leader. And before I go any further, I want to this is Brad Underwood on Kylan's competitiveness. Again, video interview, a question asked by Glenn Kinley from the CBS affiliate in Champaign.
Kylan and you share a number of traits, but one specifically that stands out to me, which I love, is it seems like you guys both just absolutely despise losing. Is he among the most competitive guys you've ever coached?
He's right up there. I put him in that with Io and TJ and we've had a big group. Trent Frazier, Bam's definitely in that, and he's a guy that didn't get enough credit for his year last year. People forget he was new. He was very instrumental in Casper's growth, but his last month was phenomenal. He jumped right in and said, "I'm staying." He's pound for pound maybe as good athlete as we've had. He's taken off with Fletch. He's taken off with his work, and we've just seen a very confident, mature Kylan Boswell. And you put that with his magnetic personality. You put that with his ability to want to lead and not take a back seat. That's helped our new guys a lot.
A very confident, very mature Kylan Boswell. That's what Brad Underwood is seeing right now. And I think that's what you need from a leader. A guy who doesn't get too high, a guy who doesn't get too low, a guy who's even keel, a guy who can help some of these young guys and newcomers come into this program. And even though Kylan's only been here 1 year, he's still one of the older players on the team. And I think that is important. And I'm emphasizing it because we all sat here and watched this program, this team last year that was so young, and they made you want to pull your hair out because they didn't pay attention to detail enough. They made too many dumb mistakes. You could tell that they lacked leadership. They lacked veteran leadership. And listen, they made a little bit of a run towards the end of the year, win a tournament game. It's not a bad year. You would for our expectations, would we call it a down year at this point? I guess so, but you still made the tournament. You still won an NCAA tournament game. If we're going to call it a down year, it's a pretty good down year. A lot of programs would take what Illinois did last year, right? But to bring it back around, Kylan, if this team is going to take a bigger jump in this season, like Kylan needs to be a leader from day one to the end of the year, in my opinion. I think he is the biggest leader on this team. He is, I don't want to call him a glue guy because he's better than a glue guy. He's better than DeMonte Williams. But, he needs to be that guy. He's just got to be that guy. I wish I had a better way to explain it. But he's got to be someone that is not afraid to take the shot at the end of the game. He's got to be someone who, doesn't stupidly turn the ball over a ton like KJ did last year, right? He's just got to be the same for all 40 minutes every game. He's going to have bad games, he's going to have bad shooting games, whatever. But all the little things, all the intangible stuff that I feel like this team missed last year, Kylan's got to have that consistently in 2025, 2026. All right. Now, my last point for Kylan, for my expectation for Kylan, is to continue to get downhill. I really thought that this guy, he impressed me more than I thought he would with someone who was able to get to the basket the way that he was. And I didn't expect that because when you looked at the highlights of him at Arizona, he just shot a lot of threes. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of him going to the hoop. He did a lot of going to the hoop for Illinois, especially after he just really struggled to make threes last year, right? And so I want to continue to see that, but also it will be even more lethal if he does hit some open shots. So he's got to hit some open shots. He did so against Illinois State in that exhibition. I look forward to hearing what his shooting percentage was in this game against Florida this weekend, right? So those are 3 easy expectations: be an elite defender, be a leader, and I guess, and overall be a consistent offensive contributor, someone who can get downhill, do what you're strong with, get downhill, and hit open shots. Man, you're a better shooter, you're a better 3-point shooter than what you were last year. I am very convinced. So now to end the show, we're about 20 minutes in. To end this, I want to do a little game of over/under, largely because of how I started the show and the gambling stuff that came out of the NBA today. I feel like this is kind of a funny way to end the show. All right, we'll do a over/under for points, rebounds, and assists. All right, last season, Kylan, I think, averaged around 12.5 points per game, I believe. Okay. In 2024, 2025, he averaged 12.3 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, and 3.4 assists, 1.1 steals. We're not going to do steals, but points, rebounds, assists, and that was an average 31 minutes per game. Okay. Can over/under 15.5 points per game for Kylan Boswell in 2025, 2026. Over/under 15.5 points. Now, there's a lot of mouths to feed. You think theoretically Andre is going to have more volume, right? You think after watching David Merkovic in that game against Illinois State, is suddenly you feel like maybe he's going to get his handful of shots. Tommy, he's going to jack up 10 threes a game at least. And Zabodomir, how many shots is he going to get up? He averaged 12.5. I think he's going to average more points per game this year. Maybe that line should be more like 13 or 14. I'll go under on 15.5 just because there's so many mouths to feed on this team. But he is certainly a guy that I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the year was averaging 16 to 17 points per game, though, just because I think he will shoot the ball better this year. And if he's consistently making 2 or 3 threes per game to go with what he's doing inside, this guy could easily average 15 points per game at least. So I will take the under because I think there are more mouths to feed, but I can see an over in there. Now, it was 4.8 rebounds last year. I upped it to 5.5 as the line. Over/under 5.5 rebounds. This team was one of the best rebounding teams in all of college basketball last year, especially on the offensive boards. This team was elite at offensive rebounding last year. Now you have Tommy back, who I read the other day is projected to be a top 20 draft pick in next year's NBA draft. Got his brother, who's also tall, who knows? Hopefully he's a little bit more physical. I just listened to Brad talk about how Ben Rickhaus's rebounding has massively improved and how they want him to be a better rebounder. He had 7 rebounds in that game against Illinois State, right? I mean, there are a lot of guys here that can rebound, and this team was great at rebounding last year. And I know that Brad puts a lot of emphasis on rebounding. So from 4.8 to 5.5 on a team that's better, I'll take the over. Is that weird? Like, could he average 6 rebounds per game for a guard? That'd be crazy. I'll take the over, though. I think that this team's going to continue to be a great rebounding team. All right. And over/under 4 assists. I went 4.0. Let me know what you think on these lines, by the way. All right. The 3.4 assists last year, I upped it to 4. I just said, there's a lot of mouths to feed. Perhaps I should have put the line higher. I think he's going to have more than 3. He's going to average more than 3.4 assists per game. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the rebounding does come down, but the assists go up. How about the over on that one? I'll take over 4 assists per game. So I went under, over. So I just think he's going to be a great facilitator on the team. I think he's going to be a guy who does a little bit of everything, someone that everyone just really appreciates on this team. We're not going to view him like we view Terrence Shannon Jr. as far as like role. I don't even think it's not going to be like a Marcus Domas. When I think about guards, like He's not going to be an IO, a guy who takes the shot at the end of the game. I just feel like he's Trent Frazier. Like Trent Frazier was a guy who just did a little bit of everything, brought leadership, and he was a winning player. I think Bam can do that. And I think he is a better athlete and can be a better player than Trent Frazier even at the end of Trent Frazier's career. I think he can be better than him this season. And this is no disrespect to Trent Frazier. I loved him as an Illini. Okay? All right. Let me know your thoughts. We got one comment here on YouTube. Live. Kylan is the stability on the team. He is the glue guy. They are lucky to have retained him. Well, someone else called him a glue guy. I guess whenever I think of glue guy, I'm just thinking about the guy who, like, he doesn't necessarily score a lot of points. He just hits like 1 or 2 shots per game, but is incredible defensively. And the other team's fan base just really hates him. Maybe a lot of other teams will hate Kylan Boswell this year, right? Maybe. But I in general agree with you, Pat OD. I agree with you. All right. Well, we got 4 minutes till we're 30 minutes in. So I'm going to get on out of here. We'll have another show up tomorrow as well, probably doing another player profile type. And I don't know if we'll do it live, but I'll at least have it up on the channel and on the audio feed. If you're on audio, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. I appreciate the new people that have tuned into the show the last week. I really appreciate it. College basketball season is right around the corner, my friends. November 3rd is right around the corner, and I'm excited. You're a real sicko if you get into non-conference college hoops. We got all those tournaments, the Maui Invitational, all those. Like, I get really excited about that time of year as much as I get excited about March. So we're getting closer, and I'm really excited about this Illini team. So as always, I appreciate y'all's support. I will see you in the next episode. ILL. Love you guys.